Most people will live their lives, gather some shiny things, and then be forgotten. They'll work hard, earn praise, climb ladders, get titles, but when they're gone, nothing they built will last. Why? Because they never learned the real difference between just having money and building something that lives forever. They confuse a nice life with true command, owning a fancy sword with actually designing the forge that makes legendary weapons. They thought having a lot of metal, money, meant power. But Machiavelli would have chuckled. Because metal that just sits there and vanishes when you do is not true wealth. It's just a glittery show. It's just a decoration for someone who feared being forgotten more than he feared being useless. The real truth? Lasting wealth isn't about the metal you gather. It's about the weapon they can't break, even when you're not there. It's about a tool that works perfectly without your name, without your face, without your personal touch. That's the kind of legendary weapon Machiavelli would have designed. Not a sword you show off, but a forge you disappear into, creating unbreakable tools for the future. That's why the first principle of building lasting power is clear and direct. And Chapter 1. Design the forge, don't just collect metal. The first principle is this: build a system that makes weapons, not just money. Money, raw metal, runs out. A forge system keeps working and gets better. A person who only works to collect more metal is just buying time. But a person who builds a strong forge is buying survival for their legacy. While most chase quick cash, flashy deals, and being a visible brand, the Machiavellian thinks like a master blacksmith who disappears into his workshop. He builds hidden rules, clever company setups, special knowledge that runs on its own, and structures that can't be easily shut down by one problem. The powerful Rothschild family didn't last forever by just collecting metal. They did it by building control into a banking system that reached across many countries, not just a few years. The Rockefeller family didn't just find oil, they built strong foundations, legal shields, and family offices that turned their name into a quiet, lasting institution. And collecting metal needs your constant presence. A well-designed forge works even when you're absent, and once that powerful machine is running, another key principle appears, like a warning carved into the stone of the forge. Chapter 2. The hidden strength. Keep the engine unseen. This is the second principle. Separate what people. The biggest mistake a builder can make is letting the world see the engine that powers their forge. In Machiavellian thinking, the more they can trace your power, the easier it is for them to take it apart. That's why the smartest families in history hide their true ownership behind layers of legal secrets. What you truly control should never be directly linked to your personal name. Let them admire the sword, but never show them the plans for the forge. Let them guess your wealth, but never let them see the actual process that makes it. You might not seem to own anything in public, but you control everything behind the scenes. Powerful families in Asia didn't survive big changes by being famous. They split up their ownership across many banks, family trusts, and international companies that no government, no court, no enemy could trace back to one single point of weakness. Modern people confuse being famous with having real power. But the true masters bury their influence so deep that even their own children need special training to understand the full picture. They don't put all their power in one place, one type of metal, or one country. They spread their control across different borders, different boards, and different family members. Because if your enemies or even your own family can press one button to ruin everything, you never had power. You just had a spotlight shining on your weakness. This leads us to the third and most unusual principle. If these ideas about building lasting power are starting to shape your thinking, you're ready to refine your own strategy. Hit that like button now, and make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into these essential truths. Your support helps us share this crucial wisdom. Chapter 3. The Silent Legacy, Building Without Applause. This is the third principle, designed for quiet strength, not for fame. This is where most people fail, because their ego needs applause more than their legacy needs protection. Machiavelli never chased cheers. He chased safety from being seen. Fame isn't fuel for your forge. It's a huge, bright flare. It lights up everything you were trying to keep hidden. The more people know your face, the easier it is to tax your wealth, attack your values, or take apart your system. That's why the families who truly influence the world today aren't posting on social media. They're silent. They're invisible. They let the spotlight shine on celebrities while they manage huge amounts of wealth in the dark. And in many countries, there are extremely rich people who own huge shipping companies, big building projects, and media businesses, yet almost no one even knows their names. Their businesses appear through hidden directors, holding companies, or secret trusts, and their wealth moves like a deep current beneath all the public noise. Because when no one sees you coming, no one knows how to stop you. A lasting legacy isn't built by being famous. It's built by not caring about being famous. The Machiavellian master doesn't care if history forgets his name, as long as his powerful forge keeps running untouched. He doesn't build a monument to himself. He builds a machine, and that machine works in the shadows. But once this strong system is built, once the wealth is flowing, the control is hidden, and the spotlight is off, the next threat comes from very close by, from your own family. Chapter 4: Forging the Next Generation, Training the Wielders, because even the strongest forge can break if the next person in line is weak. And the master who builds without training his family to wield the weapons, builds for nothing. Your family is the weak point of every lasting power. Not enemies outside, but the heirs inside. A person can build the most perfect system on paper, spread their wealth across many countries, hide their control behind layers of law, and still lose everything. Because the person they trusted to take over was emotionally soft, unable to make smart decisions, and felt they deserved everything without effort. This is where most legacies die. Not from theft or taxes, but from the hands of those who carry the family name. Machiavelli knew this hundreds of years ago, and the truly lasting families today still live by the same rule. You do not give power to your family. You forge your family into people strong enough to handle power. This is why the fourth principle must be understood clearly, cutting through all the easy ideas about inheritance. Train your family like you train skilled weapon makers. If you raise your children with too much luxury instead of strong lessons, with easy affection instead of clear rules, you are planting a bomb under your own forge. The Rockefeller family didn't raise their children in huge, wasteful mansions. They were trained with strict discipline, good education, and heavy responsibility. Every dollar passed down came with duties thicker than any will. In big companies in Asia, the oldest sons are not spoiled. They are tested hard, rotated through different jobs, and publicly shamed for bad work. Why? Because empires don't last just because of family ties. They last because of tough training. You don't just raise heirs. You raise guardians for your forge. Sun Tzu, the ancient strategist, wrote, "He who does not train his generals before the battle has already lost." The Machiavellian sees no difference. Your family is your general, and if you give them the forge without sharpening their instincts, you're not building a legacy, you're guaranteeing it will fall apart. They must understand hardship before ease, consequences before comfort, silence before showing off. They must feel the weight of responsibility in their chest before you ever give them the key to the forge. Not because you want to be mean to them, but because the real world will test them. And when it does, they must not break. Chapter 5: Protecting the Legacy, Guarding from Within. This brings us to the fifth principle: protect your legacy from those you love. And it's a nice story that love alone keeps wealth safe. But Machiavelli didn't believe in nice stories. He understood that love without clear agreement is dangerous, that the worst betrayals often come wrapped in affection. From spouses who slowly take away wealth, children who make emotional bad decisions, family members who bring problems, relatives with opinions but no responsibility. That's why your lasting power must be protected not just from outside enemies, but from your own family. Strong legal walls, clear rules for behavior, solid plans for who takes over. These are not about being cruel, but about being clear. You don't protect your family by just trusting them blindly. You protect them by limiting the damage they can do until they prove they won't. The Rothschild family over many generations never gave out wealth like a simple gift. They treated it like a special position, one that needed proof of good character, skill, and secrecy. Money wasn't just given. It was linked to legal agreements that made betrayal almost impossible without serious punishment. Emotional pleas were ignored. Playing favorites was seen as a major fault. The Machiavellian leader does not make deals based on feelings. He creates clear rules for power. Because when feelings are more important than strong rules, family ties can become a weakness. And that brings us to the hardest truth of all. Chapter 6, test the wielder before you leave. This is the sixth principle. Test the next person in line before you're gone. You don't wait until your funeral to find out if your forge can keep working. You create small crises while you're alive, and watch who handles them. You give them small amounts of control, and let them make mistakes. You watch how they recover. You put tricky situations in front of them, and see if they speak up or stay silent. Because if they can't stay calm during a challenge you created, they'll burn the whole forge down when you're gone. Lasting power cannot just be given. It must be fought for, earned, and proven. And if your heir can't protect the forge, they don't deserve the heavy responsibility, no matter how much you love them. This is not being mean. This is making sure your legacy survives. A parent who gives their child wealth without teaching them strength is not loving. They are being lazy, because soft hands break what they inherit. In this world, raw emotion is weakness, but clear discipline is true love. Most people confuse these two, and that's why most legacies die out within a generation. Machiavelli wouldn't have trusted his own family without proof, and neither should you. But even a well-trained heir is useless if the forge itself is weak. What happens when lawsuits come, when the market changes, when enemies appear? If your forge can be easily broken by one court order, one political move, one personal problem, then everything you've built is still open to attack. The next principles have no mercy for that kind of weakness. The forge must be strong in many ways, protected, unbreakable. Chapter 7, build many forges, not just one. A truly lasting forge doesn't break when attacked. It changes, it takes the hits, it moves pressure around without cracking its core. That's the difference between a beautiful, fancy showroom and a strong, layered fortress. A showroom is pretty, open, proud, admired, but it can be destroyed in a night. A fortress is practical, has many layers, and isn't inviting, but it survives. Most people build showrooms. Few understand how to build something that bends without breaking, because true power isn't in one single thing, it's in having many strong parts. That's where the next rule of lasting wealth comes in. This is the seventh principle. Build many strong parts, not just one big thing. And a builder who puts all their money into one type of weapon, one company, one country, they're not a smart builder, they're a gambler. The moment that country changes rules, the moment the market crashes, the moment their name becomes unpopular, everything they built dies with it. But the families that last, they spread their risk, like a smart general spreads his army. The Rothschilds didn't just own banks, they owned governments, newspapers, railways, and insurance companies across many different countries, through separate legal setups. And when one part of their system was threatened, the others protected it until the danger passed. That's how you build a financial living thing, with many separate parts, able to heal itself, and almost impossible to kill. And in places like Asia, big family-run businesses work behind complex layers of holding companies, family groups, and offshore accounts. From the outside they look like quiet families, but underneath is a web of ownership so spread out that even if one part fails, the resources are moved to another part. That's not an accident, that's smart engineering. When most people build a business, they think about the next few months, but the Machiavellian builds it like a country under attack. Many different parts, each working on its own, none able to bring down the others. So when a lawsuit comes, it hits a decoy. When the economy changes, a different part of the wealth carries the weight. And when the family name is attacked, the whole structure doesn't break because the name isn't even on the main documents. But even a forge with many strong parts is useless if it hands over control too early. That brings us to the 8th principle. Delay access, speed up training. Chapter 8. Access earned, not given. One of the most dangerous ideas in modern inheritance is that control should come just with age. Turn 25, get the money. Turn 30, take control. This way of thinking is based on emotion, and emotion is deadly when it comes to lasting power. Machiavelli would have strongly rejected it. Control must never be given just because of time. It must be earned through strong character, through proven loyalty, through toughness under pressure. The forge must be locked behind gates that only open when someone's actions prove they are ready for the key. Education, good performance, careful judgment, these are the codes that unlock access. And if the heir cannot meet them, the system must deny them, coldly and without apology. Some of the most protected legacies in the world are set up to delay major control for decades, even into the 3rd generation, until every heir proves they won't destroy what they never built. That's not just control, that's smart design. Because if you hand a child a powerful weapon they didn't bleed for, they will either waste it trying to feel strong or break under the pressure of trying to defend what they don't understand. The delay isn't a punishment, it's a test. It reveals those who are unworthy and strengthens those who are ready. And what strengthens them most is understanding the secret language of power. Chapter 9. Teach the secret language of power. This brings us to the 9th principle. Teach the secret language of wealth. Most heirs aren't truly unintelligent, they just haven't learned the right language. Because the language of lasting wealth isn't taught in schools. It's not just numbers, it's the psychology of agreements, how to set up companies, how to handle legal battles across countries, how to use rules to your advantage. To pass down wealth without teaching this secret language is like handing a child a loaded gun and hoping instinct will keep him safe. It won't. The families that last don't just hand over legal papers, they hand over the dialect of power. They teach their children how to read a tax code like a battle map, how to spot hidden opportunities and dangers in government rules, how to speak powerfully through silence in a negotiation, how to know that the most important thing in a room is often the one that isn't being said. Because when a person can read the world in contracts, in legal structures and silence, they're not just rich, they're dangerous. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This is how the Machiavellian thinks. Bureaucracy, red tape is not a problem, it's a filter that weeds out the weak. Rules are not the enemy, they are camouflage for your actions. Delays are not failures, they are chances to gain an advantage. If your forge cannot move through complex rules, it's not strong, it's temporary. And if your heir cannot speak the language of complexity, they are not your successor, they are a weakness. So the forge is now built. The heirs are trained, but here lies the final danger, the actual plans. Because if they know exactly how it was built, they'll look for easy ways to cut corners. If outsiders know the path, they'll try to copy it. That's why the last move is the most Machiavellian of all. Chapter 10. Destroy the map, keep the wisdom. This is the 10th principle. Burn the blueprint, keep the fire. Or a map, a set of detailed instructions, no matter how sacred, can be stolen, copied, or used wrongly. The moment your heirs know exactly how you built the forge, they stop thinking like guardians and start acting like consumers. They just copy your moves instead of truly understanding your thinking. They look for shortcuts instead of earning their own authority. That is why the final and most unforgiving rule of Machiavellian wealth must be obeyed without hesitation. And burn the blueprint. You document the guiding ideas, not the exact step-by-step path. You store the deep wisdom, not the exact formula. You pass on the passion and the drive, but you let them find their own ways to make weapons. Because a system that is inherited too perfectly is a system they never feel truly responsible to protect. And what a person does not rebuild, they will not fiercely guard. The Machiavellian knows this. That's why his final act is not about building, it's about disappearing. He leaves behind a structure so precise, so strong, so perfectly self-sustaining, that the world can walk through it every day and never know whose hands designed it. He becomes what every true empire builder must one day become, the vanishing architect, the person who gave up being remembered to protect what they built, the one who erased his fingerprints, not because he was ashamed, but because true lasting power needs secrecy. Because the moment the map is clear, the attacks begin. The moment the heirs know the entire plan, they start to rely too much on it. But when they inherit power without a clear script, they are forced to grow, to think, to adapt. And that is when the family's legacy truly lasts forever. In some Eastern countries, there are powerful families, whose names no one can say, who control huge ports, oil pipelines, and electricity grids. Their wealth isn't listed, their ownership isn't public, and yet they shape the movements of nations. They left behind no interviews, no life stories, no graves worth visiting. Only powerful structures, hidden behind contracts, proxies, and legends. In the West, the foundations named after men like Rockefeller still work on a huge scale, but the man himself, he disappeared long ago. You see, it's not the person who survives, it's the machine they built. It's the rhythm of the rules they set up. That's immortality, the kind that doesn't beg to be remembered. Machiavelli understood this deeply. To rule from the shadows is to rule without being fought. And when you burn the blueprint, you remove not just the instructions, but the illusion that things are easy or certain. You force the family to re-earn their access, generation after generation. You leave just enough behind to inspire, but never enough to make them lazy. And by doing this, you make sure the fire of ambition stays alive, not from old traditions, but from constant need. Because if everything works without you, and no one knows exactly how you did it, and your name fades while your influence grows, you have won. Not as a king, but as a legend, not as a brand, but as a powerful force. That is the highest form of wealth, not to be celebrated but to be undefeated, not to be visible, but to be unstoppable. There's a moment in every person's life when they must decide, do I want to be remembered, or do I want to be permanent? The weak choose fame, the strong choose silence, and the wise they choose systems so deep, so impersonal, so powerful, that when they're gone no one mourns and yet the world still quietly moves around what they left. That's not just taking over, that's true transcendence. The final act of the Machiavellian isn't about money or family or structures. It's about letting go. Letting go of the need to be famous. Letting go of the urge to control every little thing. Letting go of the desire to be known. Because true control is not holding the reins yourself. It's building a strong vehicle that knows where to go, even in the dark. Discipline is love. Strong structures bring security. Silence ensures survival. But letting go is true mastery. The moment you no longer need to be a part of the system you created, that's when you know it's truly finished. That's when you know it will last. That's when you walk away light, fearless, unbeatable. You don't need your name on a building. You don't need statues, pictures, or special funds in your honor. What you need is this, the certainty that long after your face is forgotten, the foundations still stand, the gears still turn, the family still moves in rhythm with the code you left behind. And when that happens, when you vanish but everything stays strong, your legacy becomes sacred, your silence becomes holy, and your absence becomes the most powerful presence of all. As Machiavelli would have whispered, "He who builds without needing praise, rules long after the kings have crumbled." The path to forging an immortal legacy, where your influence shapes the world without needing your name, is a journey for the truly wise. If these Machiavellian truths have stirred something deep within you, don't just listen, act. NHIT, the like button, and subscribe to the channel if this journey through crafting lasting wealth has given you a new blueprint for power. Your engagement helps us share these vital lessons.